Welcome to the Traveler's Mindset Podcast. I'm Salem, and I'm here to help you discover yourself while discovering the world. In each episode, I'll share practical traveling tips and entertaining travel stories, all while sharing the powerful mindset and self-help tools I've learned along the way. Whether you're a seasoned explorer or dreaming of your first solo trip, this podcast is your guide to personal growth, resilience, and living life to the fullest. So pack your curiosity, open your heart, and get ready to embark on a journey that will reshape your mind and soul. Welcome to the Traveler's Mindset, where adventure meets self-discovery and your best self awaits. Hello guys, welcome to the Traveler's Mindset Podcast. This is your host, Salem, and this is episode 3, which is crazy. A+ for consistency, Salem, because your girl lacks in that area sometimes, but when it comes to stuff I'm passionate about, it kind of just flows out, and it's a fun little game to play to see what new creative things I can come up with. But welcome to episode 3. I'm sorry that this is a day late. To be honest, this has been one of the most jam-packed full weeks of my entire life. I just have been doing so much stuff. I'm trying not to use the word busy, but I've just been really, really in there, getting things going in Hawaii. Just working a lot, finding jobs, training for jobs, just all of those things. What happens whenever you move to a new place? So just getting used to it all and getting into a routine. But there was just absolutely no way over the last couple of days I was going to be able to film and edit this episode until now. So I hope that with the waiting an extra day will come a good episode that you can relate to. If you tuned in on the last episode, I said something about how I didn't really know how I wanted to start these episodes, but now I do. And I owe a big thank you to Amy, who is my bestie gal who lived on the boat with me when I traveled throughout the South Pacific. We did this every single night on the boat with all the crew members, and basically it's called Roses and Thorns. How it works is you basically would say one good thing that happened from the day and one bad thing that happened from the day, and then we would always do something like something we're looking forward to, I think. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to share one good thing that happened to me throughout the week, one bad thing that happened throughout the week, and something I'm looking forward to, just to share a little bit more about my life, because I know this podcast is more about mindset and traveling and not about the day-to-day. So I think it would be cool to just share those little things to let you guys get to know me a bit more. And also it's a great way for me to stay present and to be grateful for the things that have happened. So my rose for this week is the fact that I'm having these opportunities for new work and new jobs and new just business opportunities. Although it's been a lot and it's been a little bit overwhelming, it's really nice to see my work being appreciated and having the opportunities to just expand my knowledge and grow in those ways. My downside of the week is probably the same thing. I haven't really had the time to just sit and be present and to just be mindful. I think I've been rushing around a lot the last few days, and then I get burnt out really fast. Like today, after this podcast episode, the only thing I want to do is watch a movie. Like, I don't want to do anything else. I have to go to work later, which is great, and that's fine. But like, until then, all I want to do is like turn off my brain. So that's probably my low. But I know that once we get through this little, once I get through this little training period, things are going to level out and be easier. And then something I'm looking forward to is finding out about this one opportunity that would be absolutely amazing if it worked out. And just getting started on a new group trip that I'm planning for you guys as well. So those are my roses and thorns for this week. But something that I want to talk to you about, and like I've said in all of my other episodes, is that for me, for this podcast to work, I have to be relating to the things that I'm talking about, for the topics that I'm talking about. And something that's been going through my brain a lot here recently is the fact that we all have time and there's room for everyone. There's room for your uniqueness. There's room for my uniqueness. There's room for your ideas. There's room for mine. And I think that whenever you start getting so caught up in the mundane things in life, going to work, you're putting in all, or you're trying a new project, or you're an entrepreneur and you're just trying, and it seems like nothing's working or everything's taking way more time than you expected, you just start to feel defeated. You start to feel like, wow, there's like no room for me at this table anymore. Like maybe you start to feel like you don't bring enough to the table, so you don't deserve a seat. So I have a manager / life coach / best friend. I've been working with her for the last month, and she's absolutely amazing. She is helping me in so many ways, and it's just been a really nice tool to have someone other than myself to like run my ideas by, to help me do the things that I don't really enjoy doing, and to just be able to get her services. Like, they mean so much to me. And something that I really appreciate that she does is that whenever I'm having a moment of craziness in my head, I can go to her and I can be like, why do I feel this way? It usually is pertaining to work anyways. And so she's just a really great tool to have in my pocket, and she helps me so much. And one of the things that I did was send her a voice message the other day where I was just having a moment. It was like 3 mornings ago. And I was just having a moment where I felt like I was trying everything. Like, I just am consistently posting on Instagram. I'm consistently figuring out this podcast. I'm consistently planning the group trip, like very consistent, working really, really hard. I, besides working, 3 other actual jobs, I'm also building my own personal brand. So I'm working a lot, and that's not to say that I'm trying to make an excuse or anything for myself, but it's just like when you're putting in all that work and you don't feel like it's being paid off as fast as you want it to, it is discouraging. She just gave me some great advice for feeling this way, and I felt like it was a great thing to share on this podcast, because this is something that I have felt like many, many times before, and I feel like as creative people, we all can feel this way, especially when it comes to our creative pursuits. And I think it's important to know that there is always room at the table for absolutely everyone in this world. No matter what you bring to the table, even if you feel like 1,000 people are already doing the exact same thing you are, there is such a uniqueness to you and to your personality and to who you are that will grab the attention of the people that are your people, that will relate to the way that you say things versus the way I say things. Your uniqueness is what makes you so valuable and so special. And even if you feel like you don't have anything, I promise you do. And in this episode, we're going to dive deep into why we have this specific limiting belief and why it's necessary for our individual growth to feel it, to lean into it, but also to move past it and see why we feel that way. So let's dive right in talking about this. I'm really excited for this episode, and I hope it can be beneficial for everyone. So in this episode, I'm going to go ahead and give you a disclaimer that I'm going to be talking in a lot of analogies, a lot of metaphors. They kind of help me understand things a bit better, and I think it's just a good way to separate the message that I'm trying to give and put it in a more practical situation. So imagine that you invite 10 of your friends over for Thanksgiving dinner, and you tell them that they all have to make one singular pumpkin pie. They don't have to bring anything else. You don't give them any other instructions. They just have to bring a pumpkin pie made however they would like it to be made. So when your guests arrive, they're all astonished by the fact that there's so many pies, but you ask them to all taste a small slice of each one. Then you hand out a piece of paper and ask each person to rank which pie they enjoyed the most. At this point, there might be 1 or 2 pies that rank higher than the rest, but you'll more than likely be getting a mix of responses. Why is that? It's because everyone has a different idea of what tastes good to them. Someone might like more cinnamon and less nutmeg. Someone might not even know the difference between cinnamon and nutmeg. Someone might be a pumpkin pie connoisseur, while others might hate pumpkin. Either way, everyone has their own taste and their own preference, no matter how much or how little energy you put into making your pumpkin pie. Not to say that if you literally didn't make one, or you just threw a can of pumpkin and added no sugar into a pre-made Pillsbury pie crust, that people wouldn't like that. But when you're putting in energy and effort into something and you know you're giving it your all, even if people don't come to it and people don't like it at first, you are still bringing something to the table. You're still bringing your uniqueness to the table, and you're going to attract the people that relate and that enjoy what you're producing no matter what. So here's another analogy that might help. This is a little bit more relevant considering it's Olympic time. Let's think about the women's swimming team in the Olympics. You can pick your favorite country. That part is irrelevant. But imagine if all the new swimmers looked up to Michael Phelps or Katie Ledecky and thought, why should I even try to compete when they've already won all the gold medals? What if that young swimmer that was fully capable, had all the qualifications, she was on her way to be an Olympic swimmer, had that thought, but they already did it, so why should I do it? If that was the consistent message or thought that these new athletes had entering the athlete pool, there would be no new swimmers and no new talent entering the pool, figuratively and literally. Then what would happen when Phelps and Ledecky retire? There would be no new swimmers. So the truth of the matter is, in today's day and age, all industries are saturated. I know it probably hurts to hear that, but it's true. There are thousands upon thousands of influencers, doctors, soccer players, life coaches, account executives, stay-at-home mommy bloggers, you name it, there's probably a million people doing it. And that can be a liberating truth or it can be a really scary one. I think that's what I've been trying to wrap my brain around, is that it's not a scary truth, it's a liberating one. Because although there's so many people in so many industries these days, that gives you the opportunity to really step into your authenticity. Because even though there are millions of cool people doing millions of cool things, you know what there will never be? Someone doing it the exact way you're doing it. I know that for me in my industry, there's so many people that are travel influencers. There's so many people that are travel content creators. It seems like there's new ones popping up every single day, and I'm sure there are. But what all of these people don't have is what I bring to the table. They don't have my way of thinking. They don't have my life experiences. They don't have my perspectives. These are all things that are unique to me. And even though the industry is more than saturated, I know that I will always have a seat at the table, as will you, because I can't be you and you can't be me. And it's such a nice feeling to know that. You can step up to the plate and you can provide your ideas, your insight, and your life experience in ways that no one else could even dream of doing. And it's such a little special gift that we all have. Just remember that no one is you and no one is doing it like you. There is room for everyone because everyone is looking for different things. Someone might like your perspective on life more so than others, so they choose to support you and your ideas. Someone might support you simply because they like the way your voice sounds over their headphones. The reasons are endless as to why people support you. And even if they're silly, they're still what make you unique and valuable. So why do we feel this way? Why do we get into this mindset of there's not enough space for me, my talents aren't unique enough, and there's not enough room for me at this imaginary table? For me personally, I think one of the major reasons is just the world that we live in these days. The pressure of finding success at a young age and overnight success is huge, especially with the climb of social media, TikTok, Instagram. We see young children, young teenagers who dance on TikTok and then overnight they're famous and they have millions of followers and they're getting these brand deals and they're working with big companies. And you're like, how in the world did they get this opportunity whenever I've put in hours and hours and hours to make this dream a reality and it's taken me so much longer? When we see things like that, it gets really hard to not be hard on ourselves. I can speak from experience. When I see some of my friends that I love dearly and I know work hard behind the scenes and they're not growing the way they want to grow, or we see someone who just went viral a few times and now they're living this life that we really want to live, it's challenging. I know I'm referring to social media a lot in this, but that's kind of the industry that I'm in. But it can apply to anything, even in the normal 9-to-5 workplace. You feel like you're grinding really, really hard and then your coworker gets this raise and you don't get anything. And it's hard. It's disheartening and it makes you unmotivated to work. But one of the top things I always remember when it comes to overnight success is that it really doesn't exist. And when you look at these people that reach this viral status and get all these overnight followers or whatever might happen, they don't have anything to fall back on. They don't keep making viral content. They don't keep going with it because they didn't really intend to make that happen anyways. It's the people that were putting in the work behind the scenes that have this long game already planned out and ready to go. I think another reason why we feel this way, and I might be speaking for myself here, is that a lot of us are crazy achievers and we love to hit goals and to feel accomplished. I know that for myself, hitting goals is like the best feeling in the world. Being able to knock things off of my to-do list, hitting big goals, being consistent. It just is a way for me to prove to myself that I'm staying true to my word and I'm reaching these goals that I have for myself and I'm not giving up. I think that sometimes I might take it a little too far and I tend to get upset or mad at myself whenever I don't hit the goals in the time frame that I've set. These are all things that can be fixed and can be adapted and can just be shown a little bit of love and a little bit of grace and be a lot better. But I do feel like this is a common theme I see in people that feel this way. Another thing that kind of relates to the first reason is we are a part of the instant gratification generation. As much as I don't want to admit that, it's true. The generations before us grew up in a world where they were told to suck it up a lot. They were told to just keep working, keep grinding. That's what you have to do. No one's going to, baby you. No one's going to hold your hand. No one's going to give you motivation to keep going. And although I think that there is something to learn a part of that, it's not necessarily the best. There's a great way to motivate people using words and telling people that you appreciate their work, and that sometimes, just sucking it up is not the way to go about things. I also feel like in this generation, we kind of have this expectation that we're going to be told good job or bad job every single time we do something. And then we base our value and our worth off of that. And that becomes really toxic really fast because, some days you're not going to do your best. Some days you're going to excel, but some days you're not. Especially when you're trying new things, you're training at a new job. It's hard. And yeah, it's nice to hear people say that you did a good job and to get that validation, but sometimes you just don't get it. Whenever we are working really, really hard on something, especially if you're an entrepreneur or when you're your own boss and you don't really have other people there pushing you forward, you have to give yourself that gratification. You have to remind yourself, even if you made no sales, hey, I'm still doing my best. I'm still bringing my A game and I'm still worthy of doing this. I have a lot of notes written down for why we feel this way. Another one that maybe you can relate to is I think we've lost a sense of patience and letting the seeds of our labor become healthy fruit. I know that for me, patience is a virtue that takes a lot for me to grow and to hold on to. I tend to lean to the more impatient side, especially when it comes to my work. Because when I plant the seeds, I plant them really, really hard and I spend a lot of time planting them. And so I expect them to grow extra fast. And that's just not the case. Whenever we expect ourselves to automatically make the very best product or automatically go famous on our first reel we've posted, it's just impractical and it's not fair to ourselves to put that expectation on us. And I'm telling you, every single time I've made a reel that's gone viral, it's because I literally was like, there's no way this is going to go viral. And I just didn't even put the expectation behind it. There's a lot to be said about patience and being able to cultivate that sense of patience with every single thing that you do in life. And just remember that good things take time. Good things take time to grow. It takes time to nourish them. And you're allowed to start over. You're allowed to keep your patience and restart as many times as you need to make the thing that you're working on to become that amazing thing that you are dreaming of. Another reason as to why we feel this way that might cause a little controversy is that our potential was never doubted growing up. In this generation, again, the idea that we could be whatever we wanted to be as long as we worked hard for it was ingrained in our brains. And lastly, I think that with social media as well, everyone's wins are constantly shown to us. Bright and center, social media. And no one really shows the hardships to get there. As they say, social media is a highlight reel, and it truly is. And it's hard for people to be vulnerable and to show all the work that went into the wins that they have. And especially if no work really went into it, it's hard to own up to that because you want people to think that you worked hard for something. There's no right or wrong way to reach your dreams and to live this life that you want to live. And you have every right to do it the way that you best see fit. But it's important to know that on social media, it's really easy to put on this persona and put on this facade that everything was so easy and that it just happened naturally for you and that there was no hardships in getting to where you are today. But in reality, I'm sure there were. I'm sure there's nights where you were crying in bed and there was days where you wanted to quit and there's times where you just felt worthless. You need to remember that everyone's situation is unique and you're unique. And the assets that you bring to the table are different than everyone else's, but that does not make them any less valuable. It's easy to feel like you're working really hard, but making no real progress when you're focusing on other people's wins. You have to stop comparing yourself to everyone else's story because this is your own. The grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. So instead of focusing on everyone else, focus on yourself and focus on the next best step in front of you to get to where you want to go. Good things take time. I know I just threw 86 quotes at you, but really, it does. And when you know that you're working really hard on something, you will eventually get there. It might look a little bit different than what you originally expected it, but you know that you're putting in the time and you're putting in the effort. And even if you're not seeing the fruits of your labor yet, eventually you will, because you've sent that message out that you are willing to work hard for this dream that you have. If you're feeling any of the ways that I just listed, which I know there was a plethora, how do we move past it and see it as a way to grow instead of as a way that hinders us from growth? First things first, you have to embrace your authenticity and let it shine down on you constantly. In this world of oversaturation in about every industry, being authentic to who you are is the number one way to stand out above the rest. And guess what? It's the easiest, because being authentic, it comes naturally. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to plan it. You just get to be exactly who you are. And the right people are going to love you for it. You don't have to worry about saying the right thing or looking the right way, because being the most authentic version of yourself is what everyone wants you to be. Everyone wants to be friends with the truest person in the room. The person that is confidently themselves, who believe in themselves and their abilities. And it's up to you to embrace that side of yourself. The next thing is that you have to understand that the right people will adore what you're doing. Even if it takes years for you to find those right people, eventually you will find your fans. You will find the people, even if it is your mom, if it is your neighbor, if it's an old friend, people will come out of the woodwork and be like, wow, I really love everything that you're doing. I love that you're helping people. I love that you're making a difference on our earth. I love that you're promoting authentic social media content. Whatever you're doing, you will find the people that love you and support you and really relate to the message you're trying to send out into the world. And even if you're not trying to send a message out into the world, you're still going to find people that just like your energy, that just like being around you. And those are the people that you want to keep close and that you want to become friends with and build a relationship with, because those are the people that really care about what you're doing. And for me, I take screenshots of every single nice message I get on Instagram, a text, TikTok, whatever it might be. I have a folder and I screenshot every single one of them. So if you've ever sent me one, I have it. And it's just a nice reminder that even if I feel like I'm not making a difference in any way, or if I feel like this whole social media thing is silly, I am reminded that I am helping people. Even if it's just one person a month that tells me, I'm still helping someone. And that's literally all I could ask for. Next, instead of focusing on what you don't have, feel gratitude and focus on all the things that you've already done to affirm your greatness and your worthiness. This was the number one tip from my coach. So insider tip. She told me to write down all the things that I've already done at my age, because this is something I hear a lot, is that I've done a lot of incredible things for only being 22. And I do love hearing it, I'm not going to lie, because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel worthy. Really, it makes me remind myself to give myself credit for all the things that I've done, because it's really easy for me to get into this mindset of, oh, I still need to keep going. And I don't ever reflect on the things I've already done. It's a really nice way to remember how far you've come, because you really have. Everyone has. We've all come so far. And if little 17-year-old Salem, who was in high school, knew all of the things that she's already done just within these last couple of years, she would absolutely poop her pants. And it kind of makes me like tear up a little bit, just because I think about how proud younger Salem would be. And you just have to cultivate those feelings. You have to remind yourself that you are freaking great. Like, you are the greatest person alive. And you have such cool abilities to make your life exactly the way you want it to be. And you just have to put in that energy and that effort and just be in that space of gratitude. And I know it's hard to be in a space of gratitude all the time. I definitely am not. But when you can consciously make the decision to sit down and decide to be grateful for something instead of wishing you had more or wishing that things were different, that's when you actively make the decision to live a better life and to live this life where you know no matter what is going on in your life, no matter if you have millions of followers, if you have one, if you have thousands upon thousands of dollars in your bank account, or if you have 20, you're still worthy and you are still unique and you still deserve a seat at the table. You still deserve it. You never were undeserving of it. It's that shift in energy that will help you stay motivated and will help tell the universe or God that, hey, I know that I'm having a down moment, but down moments are a part of all of this. It's a part of the growth. So I'm going to shift my energy now. I'm going to think about the things that I've done, think about all the abundance in my life, and move in that direction instead of the other direction. But the next tip, and something that I am really preaching to myself here, is that sometimes you have to sit down with how you feel and not try to run away from it. It is okay to have a day where you feel like crap. It is okay to have a moment where you feel hopeless, where you feel like nothing is worth it, and where you feel like you're going nowhere. It is okay to feel like you were kicked off the chair at the table. It's okay to feel these ways because it's a part of it. It's a part of the growth. Because guess what? On a practical sense, if you didn't feel this doubt, that literally is a telltale sign that you weren't trying to begin with. Feeling second guessing yourself and feeling this doubt is a sign that you have been trying, that you have been working towards a goal. So sit with it, be with it. Literally take the whole day to be with it. That's what I did the other day. I was supposed to post on Instagram. I was supposed to send out a newsletter, and I didn't do either one of those things because I just felt bad. I was like burnt. I was feeling burnt out in the moment, and I wasn't creating from a place of love. I was creating from a place of lack and a place of stress. And when you feel this energy coming on, of course, do the things that you need to do to potentially help it feel better. Meditate, journal, pray, go on a walk, do whatever you need to do. But if you still feel that way, just sit with it. Just be with it. Let yourself feel it, because the more you keep pushing it off, the more it comes back. And this is what my coach had to just nail into my head, because I don't like to feel that way. I like to, if I wake up feeling anxious, okay, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to journal. I might spend a little bit more time doing that, but I expect it to be done. I expect it to be gone and for me to not feel that way anymore after it. And that's just not the case. You have to sit with it, and it's so uncomfortable. It is very uncomfortable. But once you get through that uncomfort, you're like, wow, things aren't really that bad. And everyone has down days. And it's also nice to take a rest, to take a break. If you've listened to my first episode, you know how I feel about resting. And sometimes you just need a day, and it's okay. The last thing that you want to do when you're feeling this way is to create, because that energy behind it, everyone can feel, even if it's across the screen. Of course, this podcast is all about mindset and traveling. So how does all of this relate to traveling? I know that this might be just an extra tidbit of information, but for me, it's important to relate the two, because I wouldn't feel this way without having the experiences I've had with traveling. I think the main thing is that it's really easy to compare your journey with other people's journeys that you meet while traveling. The thing with traveling is that it is the chance for you to reinvent yourself over and over and over again. No one knows you. No one knows where you came from. No one knows your name. You could literally be a million different people in every different country you go to. Or you can take the opportunity to be your unapologetic self. You can be truly authentic without the fears of anyone judging you for your past limitations or things that have happened while you were younger, because no one knows you. And it's a really cool thing to experience, to be honest. But it's also a very vulnerable spot to be, because you can really compare yourself to so many people a little bit more easily. They don't know your past life experiences like other people might in your hometown. So they don't know why you act a little bit different in different situations. It's also easy to think that you're not traveling long enough, or you're not going to the coolest places when you meet travelers. I know I felt this way before, especially when I'm feeling tired and I'm ready to go to a place for 6 months and everyone else is still beat bopping around, backpacking everywhere. It's easy for me to be like, oh my gosh, why don't I feel like I have the energy to do that? Or why don't I feel like I can do that like they're doing it? So it's easy to compare your journey to other people's journeys, but it always just comes back to the fact that you're unique. Everything about you is unique. The way that you perceive life, the way that you want to live your life. And it's up to you to live out that uniqueness and to put those dreams to the test and to make sure that you are being your most authentic self. So I know that this episode was a little bit all over the place, but that's how my brain was feeling the other day when I wrote down all these show notes. And it's me being my authentic self, like I've been preaching this whole time. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you can relate to it. And if you can, I would really appreciate a share or a review. You know the deal. You know that this helps new podcasts rank. And it's really important to me. I really just want to keep on making this podcast for you guys and having the means to do so. And I would love to know if it's actually helping you in any way or anything that you would like to see. So please message me on my Instagram, comment on these podcast posts, and leave a review just so I know how you're feeling about everything. And anything really helps. So I will see you guys in the next episode, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Peace out.